Since the Iranian Revolution in 1979, the Islamic regime in Tehran has been a source of instability and extremism all over the Middle East, but not only across the world. This has not changed over the years, but rather accelerated over the years. As many of the nations in the region have pursued diplomatic relations with the State of Israel, like we saw with the Abraham Accords, the Islamic regime is fully committed to the destruction of the Jewish state. And the Iranian leaders are repeating it constantly. After October 7, this dead ambition, the destruction of the State of Israel, has materialized in a multi-front war against Israel, and we saw even a direct confrontation between Iran and Israel with the launch of ballistic missiles twice, hundreds of ballistic missiles. With us in the studio this month to discuss the role of Iran in the regional and also the future in the region and the future of the Islamic regime, we have today Mariam Bani Hashemi, who is a human rights advocate. She lives in Switzerland, but was born and raised in Iran.
Yes, exactly.
So thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having
I have
me.
also with me Tomas Sandell, founding director of the European Coalition for Israel, who today had his annual policy conference here in the European Parliament in Brussels. Thank you, both of you. My name is Yossi Lempkowicz from the European Jewish Press and Europe-Israel Press Association. This is a new episode of European Report. I will start with you, Mariam. First of all, as I said, you were born in Iran. I think you lived like 24 years under the Islamic regime, right?
34.
34.
Yes,
Yes.
34 years.
So I would like to. You are also a very prominent voice for a secular, free, democratic Iran.
That's right.
So, do you think this is possible? This is realistic, or this is only a dream?
This is not definitely a dream, but it's an inevitable outcome of Iranian people sustained resistance against this tyranny. The courage demonstrated by Iranian people during the movement, Women Life Freedom movement, has proven that the demand for democracy, a free, democratic, secular Iran, has rooted among the population. The legitimacy of Islamic Republic eroding rapidly, and the younger generation, more than 60% of the whole population, yearns for the system, the political system that respects human rights, equality, and international norms. However, to materialize this vision, we definitely need the international support.
I have a follow-up question. I would say you're advocating the fall of the Islamic regime, like another regime, a democratic regime. Do you think it can come from inside or from outside, or both?
Definitely, it should be done inside. This is the job that Iranian people are supposed to do. But to do so, Iranian people need international support. And by international support, I don't mean any military intervention. I mean First of all, those foreign governments should stop supporting the regime. That's the first step. And then put maximum pressure on the regime and give maximum support to Iranian people. Together with this international support and the courage by Iranian people inside, we can tackle this dictator regime.
Tomas Sandell, today, as I mentioned, you have led a conference, policy conference, and Iran, the Middle East in general, but specifically Iran, was one of the main topics. So I would like to tell us what were the main points discussed during this conference.
Thank you, Yossi, and thank you, Mariam, for joining the show. I think the conference today would not have been would not have achieved what it did if it wasn't for your contribution and the fact that you were there representing the Iranian people. And I think you summarized in a good way what was some of the messages to say that this is the time to put maximum pressure on the Islamic Republic, but also maximum support for the opposition, for the people of Iran, both inside Iran and outside in the diaspora. I think we can be, rather satisfied that also from the European Commission, things have changed, the European Union, things have changed in the last few years, but even more so in the last few months. And of course, the reason why there is a change of attitude has to do with Europe and the war in Ukraine, and to the extent that it's clear to everyone that this axis of evil, from Russia to Tehran, is something that it's not only an issue of Ukraine, of Israel, not even the people of Europe or Iran, but across the world. And what we heard from both members of the European Parliament, but also senior representative from the European Commission, is that yes, we welcome the new administration in Washington, that we know for sure will have a different policy on Iran. This will be the right policy to put more pressure and not to continue with the appeasement that hasn't led anywhere over the last 4 years. And I think it's really promising, and it's a good sign for Iran and for everyone who loves freedom that there is a willingness in Europe now to work hand in hand with the United States to bring about change. But also, as you said, Mariam, this change will have to come from within. And we know the people of Iran, especially the women, the young girls, are very courageous, and they really need our full support here in Europe and at the European institutions. So these were just some of the takeaways that came out very strongly from the conference.
I have also a follow-up question.
Yeah.
We have seen over the years, you spoke about the European Union,
yeah.
We have seen over the years sort of policy of appeasement towards Iran, yeah. Especially under EU Foreign Affairs Chief Joseph Borrell. We have seen EU official visiting Tehran during the inauguration of the new president, which was very criticized.
Yeah.
Do you think this can change now with the new European Commission and the new policy chief like Kaja Kallas?
I think so, and the mode in Brussels seems to be optimistic. It's very clear that the world of today is completely different from just 2 years ago. And as you know, yesterday we marked 1,000 days since the start of the war in Ukraine. And during these 1,000 days, the Europeans have learned that this period of peace and prosperity is not something we can take for granted. But they have also learned that our fate is interconnected with other trouble spots in the world, and we cannot separate what happens in Iran with what happens in Ukraine. So in this regard, I'm slightly optimistic. I think, we have to be realistic. Nothing will change overnight. But with Kaja Kallas, of course, here again we have a person who grew up in the communist regime. Just like you, she knows what it is to live under a totalitarian regime. Something that Joseph Borrell, from Spain, had no experience of. I think this is good news for Europe. It's good news for Iran, and it's good news for the world.
Mariam Bani Hashemi, you have important experience about the current regime, and you have been yourself threatened
Yes.
in Switzerland also, and about the threats coming from the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. But I would like, and they are threatening many dissidents in Europe. What can Europe do to protect its citizens, but also these dissidents? Because we saw also attempt to bomb a meeting of dissidents in France some years ago. So what can be done to protect this opposition, this democratic opposition inside, also inside Iran? So because there is a big repression in Iran against the population, against those who are protesting. So what can be done?
I believe Europe has dual responsibility in this regard, ensuring the security of Iranian dissidents in exile, and also giving enough support and empowering Iranians inside. So both outside and inside. We have seen enough threats towards Iranian diaspora outside. So many people, including me, got those threats. And I should be honest, when I got those threats, I didn't take them very seriously. It's not wise to say that I'm not afraid of them. I am. And I guess we should be, because at least I know that they are capable of doing anything, and they don't hesitate to do so. But as I was part of the IRGC terrorist campaign, I thought that they just want to scare us to stop. And as my motivation is stronger than my fear, so I didn't stop, and I won't. But some of those threats got real serious at some points. And just less than a month, a German Iranian citizen, and I would love to focus on German citizen, who has died inside Iran. And I call it that they killed him. He was a German citizen, that he was fighting against this tyranny for years, and the Islamic Republic kidnapped him from Dubai when he was traveling, a business travel to India. And they took him to Iran, had him for 4 years in prison. Although he was suffering from a Parkinson disease, they didn't give him even his medication. And we lost him. At first they told us that we executed him, but then they said, no, he has died with a natural disease. But what I'm saying, what the German government did to protect him, to save him. I'm sure they've done some action, but not enough to save him. That's the point that proves us that Iranian diaspora, Iranian dissidents living in Europe, and also European citizens are not safe here in Europe. So definitely the European governments need to take more decisive actions to be ensured about this security.
Did you personally asked for protection to the Swiss authorities?
It's already written on some news. It was last year. My case has been discussed on Guardian. And the case was when I got those threats, I got advice from Swiss Parliament to share it with Swiss police. And when I shared the story with them, they told me that 3 advices: change your name, change your address, and get a 24 hours, 7 days bodyguard with your cost, with my cost. So changing the name is funny, is coming, because the first place that they will figure out my name is Iranian embassy. Changing address, I already did that. And of course, I can afford the full-time surveillance. So they have discussed that even in Swiss press media, but so far nothing has happened. And it's sad to see that even living in a country, a democratic country like Switzerland, I don't feel safe. And that's exactly the opposite of feeling that I got when I moved to Switzerland around 8 years ago. I felt, okay, after 34 years of living under the oppression and the danger of this tyranny, I'm safe here. But I'm not feeling fully safe living even in Switzerland.
And the IRGC has not yet been banned in Europe, which is something that should be again mentioned. Yeah. Don't you think so, Tomas?
I mean, absolutely, and this has been on the agenda for many years. I think the support for a ban has never been stronger than today, and we know that Germany, this is something that they are now pushing actively in the European Council, also with the great support of Sweden, 2 countries that have, very clear experience of what the IRGC is capable of doing to their citizens. But we also know that there are countries that for some reason are opposed to a ban. We are trying to figure out, why is this? For some of the countries, without mentioning them by name, we think it's the shared interest of Russia. This is not in the interest of Russia to have IRGC being banned or limited as the war the aggression in Ukraine continues. But I also think that there are clearly commercial interests. We live in a cynical world where principles and values and convictions are very light in comparison to commercial interests. And if we only look at Germany for a few years back and why they were so accommodating to Iran, we have to look at the volume of trade at that time with Iran. And of course, no responsible CEO of any major company or political party representing them wanted to take that hit, which banning at that time export and import to Iran, what it would entail. So this is a cynical world that we are living in, but nevertheless, I would say that the chances of actually seeing a breakthrough has never been greater. And I'm still hopeful that with the new High Representative Kaja Kallas, that she will be strong enough to push this through, because we know, again, going back to Joseph Borrell, he would say that because of legal reasons, legal complications, this is not possible. But we know that's nonsense. When there's a will, there is a way, and this also applies to a banning of IRGC.
Tomas Sandell, as the head of the European Coalition for Israel, why is it so important for you to support the democratic opposition in Iran? Why?
Yeah, I think, when we say, obviously the reason we were founded had to do with combating anti-Semitism, promoting good relations between Europe and our closest allies in the region, Israel. But that never excluded anything, and including the Palestinian people. We are just as concerned about the quality of life and the prospect of a future for all peoples. So there's no contradiction. But I think that looking at what has been the main source of instability in that whole region and the source of, fueling all these hostilities around the world, we come to Tehran and we come to the Islamic Republic. And I think Mariam and other speakers today said it's very important that we make a distinction between the people of Iran and the Islamic Republic that has lost, I think, most of its credibility with the people. And so when we say that, we long for the day that there can be regime change in Iran, that there could be a free and secular liberal democracy in whatever shape and form it takes, it's just a general principle of universal values that should apply to the people of Iran just as much as they apply to the people of Europe, and I would include Lebanon, in that equation. But let me also say that I'm optimistic, and in my speech I mentioned that we have these defining moments in world history. The period before 1989, the period before 2020. At the time, no one thought Soviet Union could crumble down. Before 2020, no one thought that there could be separate peace agreements with Israel or any of the Arab states unless there was a comprehensive peace agreement between Israel and Palestinians. And both assumptions were false. So I think today that we are on this brink of either, some people even talk about the World War III, and we have to be serious about that scenario. But just as much, let us not give up hope. Let us dream and state that a different future is possible. There can be a period of peace and prosperity in the whole of Middle East. And I think there's never been a better chance for that to happen than right now. And that's why the people of Iran needs our support.
Mariam, Iran has unfortunately a very terrible record in terms of executions in the world.
Yeah.
I think it's number one. Do you think that the European Union has been ineffective in combating this trend? Because European Union always speaks about violations of human rights in Iran, but what has been done? Nothing.
You're absolutely right. Today, the latest report shown 650 executions only in 2024. So the numbers are going up daily, and it's just a matter of hours. And if you look at those statistics during the last 10 years, you can clearly see the effect of actions as made by international bodies on the number of executions inside. For example, in 2050, when they put some pressure on Islamic Republic, the number of execution went down. Now they are trying to proceed with this open dialogue and just giving some condemnation after any political executions. The numbers are going up every day. So I believe that the European countries definitely has responsibility on these human rights violations matter. Although the Islamic Republic referred it to internal problem, but that's the matter of the life of people. Mm-hmm. And of course, the European Union should make more decisive actions.
I've also another question on how was the recent message of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to the Iranian people? I don't know if you saw it.
Yes,
message,
definitely.
Of course. How was it received by the Iranian population? And a second question. What is the level of support of the Iranian people for Israel in the conflict with Iran?
Mm-hmm. It's a question that answer has a long answer. But in summary, I would say that If the main message from Prime Minister's speech was the real job should be done by Iranian people inside, and we support them from outside, so they should deliver that. I believe that is not just a speech. And I respect the defense right for Israel. They had these military conflicts, but most of Iranian people don't want military intervention. We want peace. We don't want to start another war. And to do so, we try our best to convince the whole world, let's collaborate together to tackle this regime. And every day we are going to be more close to the very crucial point that there is no other way. You know, that the level of uranium enrichment is getting high every day. And I can see that the European Union, European countries are hesitant to encounter the reality. And soon they have to encounter the reality of another war, which is affecting the whole world. So I believe not only Prime Minister of Israel, but the other countries, if they say that this is the job that Iranian people should do inside, and we support them, they should deliver that. When people inside, they go to on the streets, they risk their own lives. And it's not just they do that without any support, we just lose more people, as we did during the last 45 years.
So stability in the region is important, but for stability we need a new regime in Iran to
Hopefully.
have stability in the whole region.
And hopefully not regime.
Of course. This brings us to an end of this edition. I would like to thank you, Mariam Bani Hashemi, and Tomas Sandell, founding director of the European Coalition, for joining this program. To our readers, if you like this program, please feel free to share the YouTube link with your friends, your colleagues. My name is Yossi Lempkowicz, and you have just watched the European Report. See you again next month. Thank you.
Thank you.